there room? I don't want to squishy squish. I don't want No, I'm sitting over here.
Good evening, ladies. How are you? Good? Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. So I'm going to try to sit, but I'm not a good sitter.
You can walk to the
Yeah, I think I want to stand up. Hello, how are you? Good?
So good.
Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Olivia, for your sablanut, first of all, and then for opening your home to this class. And we've been postponing this class, I think, 5 months. Literally, like there was always something and we would postpone. And thank you last time because it was to accommodate Pua, and I was so grateful because I love this friend of yours who became my friend, and Joelle Wadana, she's so sweet. So, so thank you so much for opening your home tonight. Do you have a special dedication? I forgot to ask you.
Yeah, it's for my. Ignore the yelling children.
Oh, okay.
For my loving breast. For my grandfathers, but I don't know their full names.
Okay. Say how they were.
Rafael, it's Ben Abraham Avinu. And then, hold on, let me see.
Sure.
I kept telling myself I'm going to prepare them and that's all this.
Are you okay if we dedicate it also? Tomorrow is a surgery for Doris's husband.
Oh, really? Sure, whoever you
For Elia Wanavi Ben Tita Esther, Yehoshua Bekarov Bezrat Hashem.
Abraham Ben Moshe.
Abraham Ben Moshe. Okay, perfect. Perfect. With your permission, anyone wants to read a perek? Hélène, tu veux lire? Un perek de Céline? Sure.
You put me on the spot.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Why?
I don't know why.
That's a good thing.
You know what? There's a connection.
Which one?
Kuflam, and if you like, if it's
Like out loud?
yeah, if you're okay with it.
That's fine. שיר המעלות ממעמקים קראתיך אדוני, אדוני שמע בקולי, תהיינה אזניך קשבות לקול תחנוני, עם הבנות, תשמע יה אדוני מי יעמוד, כי עמך סליחה למען תברא. קיוויתי אדוני קיוותה נפשי ולדברו אוכלתי. נפשי לאדוני משמרים לבוקר, שומרים לבוקר. יחל ישראל על אדוני, כי עם אדוני החסד, והרבה עמו פדות. והוא יפדה את ישראל מכל עוונותיו.
תודה. should have an easy surgery, Bezrat Hashem.
Amen.
And have a refuah shlema bekarov, refuah shlema also for Yosef, Yishai, and Daniel Miriam. And we have for the little girl, Hannah, Leah Dvorah, Chaya, Bat Mazal Tov, Bezrat Hashem. And all those who need a refuah. Bezrat Hashem. Eleni Orna Bat Chen Hannah, Raphael Chaimir Ben Simach Hashem. Okay, ladies, we are here to speak about elevating our lights. Okay, we are Parashat Be'alotecha, and I want to tell you before we start that Be'alotecha is a very special and unique parasha for me. So we don't know each other, but you're gonna. For some of you, we don't know each other. For some others, you know why it's a special parasha. But there's something you don't know. When I was in Talmud Torah, when I was a little girl, I was 11 years old, I was offered to do a Dvar Torah. For the first time in my life, I needed to prepare a Dvar Torah, and the rabbi of the community I was doing the Talmud Torah in, told me, well, yours is Be'alotcha.
Wow.
So the first Dvar Torah I ever did in my life was actually on this parasha. And I remembered it this year as I was reflecting on the growth and on my life and doing an introspection. And I said, why did I choose Le'alot? Because of this week's parasha, but not really related to Be'alotcha per se. I discovered Le'alot Ner, that we're going to discuss. It's the pasuk of the parasha, which means to, we're going to say to kindle a light, but it's not to kindle, it's to elevate a light, right? I discovered it as I was doing a training with a group of Rabbaniot called Core Torah, and the opening word of the Rabbanit who opened the new cohort, which I was taking part to, was actually Le'alot Ner. And then she described how the role of a woman, and we're going to discuss that today, is to elevate the light in this world. And I thought it was so beautiful, and it spoke to me so much that I called the organization I created a few months after Le'alot. Okay. So this week's parasha is very dear to my heart because it is something that Hashem put in my life at the moment when I was about to enter a special age, 12 years old. And I was going to really create a connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu that was not exactly the same. And we don't really, if you don't pay attention to those details in your life, sometimes you don't get to see where they guide you. But Hashem gives you some hints of what He expects you to do from your childhood until the end. It's just we have to open our eyes. So I opened my eyes on that this year as I was reflecting on the second year for Le'alot. And I was like, oh my God, but wait a second. Be'alot Chai was actually the parasha where I did my first Dvar Torah. So it was very special. Anyways, that's how I wanted to introduce me. My name is Esther Sidbon, for those of you I don't know. I have with some of my friends here, we work in an organization called Le'alot. And we have permission to elevate the light of the core of Torah, which is us, Jewish women. We do a lot of different programs. One of them is the Midrasha. Some of you have heard of it through the beacon of lights of the Midrasha, who are part of this big family. And we also have a lot of different programs. We have classes of Torah all week long. And we have also a magazine that is launching very soon, actually in 10 days, Bezrat Hashem. We have a center for Jewish women that is opening in Surfside, in Bay Harbor Islands, more exactly, in July, August, Bezrat Hashem, just for the time to furnish it and get it ready. But definitely we'll reopen in Elul. And with classes, it's going to be like a fitness club, but for Torah learning. Wow. So you pick and choose, you get a membership, and you pick and choose all your classes. You can also even, in the morning, pick and choose a real fitness class. There will also be like a class of fitness in the morning, one day Pilates, and one day fitness with Jennifer Gannon. So Bezrat Hashem, it will be really fun.
Wow.
Anyways, now let's focus on, should we wait for Olivia to start or?
She's with the kids.
She's with the kids. Perfect. Okay, so let's start.
Just yesterday, I was talking to somebody how I wish there was a fitness for women.
Yes?
Yeah. That's so great. I'm a fitness instructor, so I'm
Ah,
passionate
really?
about it. Yeah.
See? Min Hashamayim that we're meeting tonight. Let's keep in touch after the class, Bezrat Hashem. So,
Yeah, there's a
Should
new
we-
fitness for women in Hollywood too.
in Hollywood, that's amazing.
Really?
In Hollywood?
Yeah, they
We just
just,
saw something posted on the website.
yeah, it just opened or they're
So
opening.
ours will really be a Torah center, but there will also be like some classes for the,
It brings
For the
two
world.
worlds together.
yeah, exactly. On la tombe, hein?
I think she'll be with her kids then.
Yeah, so we'll start. Alors on commence. Okay. Okay, so just let's get a little bit on the environment of that parasha. So what happened before in the last episode in Parashat Naso was the inauguration of the Mishkan by the princes, by the Nesim, right? The Nesim, all the chiefs of the tribes, of each tribe of Israel, besides the tribes of Levi, made offerings to the Mishkan, to Hashem at the Mishkan, right? And somehow Aaron, who is the older brother, everybody knows Aaron here. Yeah. Sorry. The only one who didn't get a chance to really be part of that inauguration is Aaron HaKohen. And somehow the Midrash says that it brings him a lot of pain. You know, he feels left on the side. He feels isolated, and he feels like he's not part of it. And it's so unfair because he was part of everything else. He should have been part of it, maybe. That's how he feels. He feels like FOMO, let's say, okay? And so Rashi explains that because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu introduces the Parashat Be'alotcha with a gift, a divine gift for Aaron. And this gift is a mission. And this mission is Be'alotcha. And you will elevate the light of the menorah. And this will be your job, Aaron HaKohen. And why is it so interesting? Because we know that the Nesim, who were they? They were the chief of the tribe, of the Shvatim, right? And what were they doing? They would bring the offerings to the Mishkan, to the temple, to the Bet HaMikdash, okay? They would bring the fruits of their labor as an offering to Hashem. Now the Mishkan represents the home, the household. And the Nesim somehow represents the male force, the male energy that is bringing what? The fruits of their labor to their house, their efforts, their physical efforts to bring Parnassah to the house. And who is the Kohen Gadol who could somehow feel a little frustrated not being part of that? It's us, the women, especially women of this century, because since 1960s and the movements of feminism, many times women feel like, you know what, like I'm not recognized for my value. Like I also can bring a lot to this household. Why am I not recognized as an equal person compared to my husband? Why can't I bring all the parnassah? Why can't I do this and why can't I do that, right? So somehow I feel like today the Torah is teaching us to look at this as a parable. We have the Nesim who are bringing the workforce and the parnassah, the fruits of their workforce, and we have the Kohen Gadol. And somehow it represents the masculine and the feminine energy. And the Kohen Gadol is the woman in his temple. Hi, how are you? No, don't worry. In his temple, in her house, okay? And why is it so important? Because Hashem is telling us, you might, especially you women of 21st century, feel sometimes frustrated of your avodah or your avodat Hashem. You are doing things that are quite repetitive, doing the laundry, getting the kids ready for school, preparing the lunches, getting on time to take the bus or bringing them to school, and then going to work if you work, not going to work if you don't work, doing another load of laundry, etc., etc. And somehow, maybe it's not very gratifying. Maybe it's not so easy to see the light in this avodah. Hashem is telling you, you feel frustrated, you feel that it's painful. I want you to see that this is a divine gift. You are the one who owns that beautiful power to bring light and to elevate the light in your home, in your household, in your family, in this world. The menorah represents the Jewish people on a larger scale also. So that's why I'm saying, like, to your community even. Women have that power to elevate the light. And what I think is beautiful is that Hashem, when he explains this mitzvah, he doesn't use lehadlik, the nerot of, when we say lehadlik ner shel Chanukah, we say lehadlik, right? We say to light a candle, like to light it from scratch, like you take a match, you light it up. But here he says lehalot. La'alot means to elevate. Lehalot means to elevate something, right? So what does it mean? It means that you are not supposed to bring the light and light up that person with this light that you just brought to him. You're supposed to do something else. And the way that the Kohen Gadol is taught how to light the menorah is going to teach us how we can bring light into our home, into ourselves, as a mother if we have kids, as a wife if we are married, and anyways as a woman inside of the Jewish nation, and as a woman inside of humankind. So I want to share with you now the steps that are taught to Aharon HaKodesh on how we should create that light, how we can elevate the light. The first step is actually a physical step, because we are told in this parasha that the Kohen Gadol first had to elevate himself. How? So imagine like it was not like a little menorah like the one we have for Hanukkah that we put on the table. It was a very high menorah. So the Kohen Gadol had to literally step up, walk onto a step and elevate himself before he could even access the menorah. What does it mean? It means that you want to bring light in your life. You want to bring light to your kids, for instance, to your husband. You want to be that wonderful mother to your kid. What do you have to do first? First, you have to elevate the light within you. First, you have to recognize that there is light within you. We were told since childhood to be humble. That gahava is something you have to run away from. Pride, you have to run away from. How can you look at yourself and appreciate and observe the light within if you're not supposed to be proud of it? How can you appreciate and own it without being proud of it at the same time? So there is a very simple way, and this is again, sorry we started.
No, sorry.
I'm just gonna tell you, we're speaking about the fact that the parasha starts with a sentence that symbolizes how a woman is compared to the Kohen Gadol in her house, right? And when she is told, and when the Kohen Gadol is told today in Be'alatcha how to elevate the light of the menorah, it actually is a way to teach us how to elevate the light in our lives, and especially like as parent, as educator, as a family member, as a spouse, as a community member. Okay, we were saying that the first thing that Hakadosh Baruch Hu tells Aaron is to step up on a little stair in order to get to the level of the menorah, and so to light it up. And so we said that means that first thing we have to elevate our own flame, our own light. And in order to do that, we have to be able to see that light, to appreciate that light. How do we do that without falling into like gahava? It's very difficult. So we have to understand that this light is not any light. And this light has nothing to do with our efforts to create light within. This light was placed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside of us. This light, the Rebbe Milubavitch explains to us that it is actually our neshama. The Tanya tells us that the neshama is like a flame. So this light that we own, that we have, that we are, is actually that neshama. And what is a neshama? A chelek, a part. Eloka, mimal, mamash. It's a part of Hashem inside of us, which means that it's a piece of Hashem. So what I am going to observe in myself in order to own that light, in order to understand who I truly am and what type of light I own, is actually that piece that Hashem placed in me. So there's nothing to be proud of. Of course I can be proud to be a part of Hashem. But besides that, I'm not going to proud myself on being the source of that light, because Hashem is the source of that light. So first, in order to light up the light of my kids, to convey the light that I have and that I want to transmit, I have first to elevate my light, which means to realize that I own this neshama, that this neshama is a piece of Hashem, and therefore it's a pure light, and I have to respect it, and I have to get to know it. Okay? Then what do I do with it? What do I do with this light? Now I know that I have a light. Now I know that I own a piece of Hashem. What do I do with it? I want to light up this menorah. I want to light up the candle. I want to be a good mom. I want to be a good spouse. I want to be a good friend, right? What do I do with it? And the Torah continues and says, now Aaron HaKohen, that you stepped up, and so you elevated your light, now you have to bring your light close to the candle. Do you allow me to take that candle? Yeah? Okay. It doesn't smell like anything. So you have to bring your light next to the candle. You know, when we do the mitzvah of Adlakat Nerot, or even when we do the mitzvah of Adlakat the menorah, right? What do? We light up a candle and we bring it on the wick and we light the wick, right? But that's not what Hashem is telling Aaron. He's saying, don't impose your light on someone. Don't think that you have to bring your own piece of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and impose it on your kids just because they're your kids. Know that when you bring your light, when you elevated your light, so when your light is truly what Hashem wants it to be, when you learned to discover what Hashem wants from you, and we can discuss that after, when you learned what type of tafkid, of mission he expects you to have, then, and you're aligned with this light, then you can just bring it close to the wick, close to the nerve. And when you bring it close to the nerve, you know what's going to happen? The nerve, from the nerve, a light, a flame is going to emanate, to elevate from itself. Why? Because this nerve is another piece of Hashem. It's not the same as yours. It's another flame, it's another light. And we cannot impose our light on them. We just bring our light close to them. And Hashem says, once you see that you bring it close to it, and you maintain that light, your light, close to the nerve, until the light elevates from the nerve, then you have to support it, to keep yourself close to it until it can maintain by itself and it can elevate on its own. And then what? And then this other nerve, this other light, is able to light others the same way. This is the secret of lighting up the world. We tend to live in a very dark moment in time. And many of us complain, why is it so dark? Why are there so many bad news? Why is it so difficult? Why do we have so many nisyonaot? Why do people hate us? Why is Israel so criticized and oppressed? Right? Why is it so dark? Here is one answer, a key to lighting up the world. We know now that in order for the light to appear and to push away darkness, we just need to let it elevate from the inside. We know that we can ask ourselves, but what takes it away from shining? Why can't all our lights just shine naturally? We have been given two souls, a divine soul that is called the neshama and an animal soul. The animal soul is very connected to the need of the body, and the neshama is very connected to the spiritual need. And by the way, why do we represent the flame as a neshama, or the neshama as a flame? Because the flame is the only thing that exists in this world that is physical and spiritual at the same time. It has a physicality. It exists in the scientific way of existing. It occupies space, right? So it exists, it's there. But at the same time, have you ever tried to take a flame? You cannot grab it. Worst case scenario, you get burnt. But you cannot take a flame. And you can turn the flame in any direction and it will always rise up. Why? Because the flame, just like the neshama, always wants to go back to its source, always elevates towards its source, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The flame is a perfect parable of what our neshamot are. Our neshamot just want to connect to Hashem. Our neshamot know which type of tafkid they have, which type of mission they were born for, which type of light, which type of piece of puzzle of HaKadosh Baruch Hu they have. If you imagine Hashem as a large puzzle, and we each own one piece of this puzzle, we're all crying for Mashiach to arrive. But do we realize that Mashiach is actually a step when Hashem reveals himself, reveals his light? Now his light is hidden, but we just need Hashem to reveal his light. And how do we do that? By lighting up each of our piece of puzzle individually. Imagine you have a puzzle and you have to reveal the light in this puzzle. Well, each and every piece needs to elevate the light. That's it. It's an individual work. We have to work on ourselves and find, what am I here for? What is my mission? What is Hashem expecting from me? That's a question that we should ask ourselves in any situation, because that's exactly why we're giving tests. All the nisyonot that we go through, what is the answer to it? Not, why? No. What are you expecting from me in this situation? Why? Because that's the question we should ask ourselves every step of the way. But somehow, when we wake up in the morning, when we have someone who offers us a smile, when we drive nicely to school, we don't ask ourselves, like, what is Hashem expecting from me, right? Only in moments of challenges, of adversity, do we realize, why? Wait, this is not going the way I would expect it to be. What is Hashem expecting from me? And that already requires a lot of self-introspection. But we know, as Rabbi Nachman Ibretzlev teaches us, that the day we were born is the day Hashem decided that this world cannot exist without you, without your light, without your piece of puzzle. You own something that no one else can own. And your light is not the same as any other light. And your light cannot extinguish any other light. And your light cannot light up any other light. The fact that you are aligned and that you worked on elevating your own light can inspire someone to do the same. So the truth is that, yes, we live in a very challenging time. Yes, we all have, and we all hear terrible situations, suffering, whether it's parnasa, whether it's health, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, whatever it is. Loneliness. I have a friend last time who was really crying her heart out because she is done with not being married, and she's been single for so long, and it's so hard, and time flies, and she's wondering what is Hashem expecting from me? Today I was giving a class for a French portal, and there was a lady, it's on Zoom, and there is a lady who wrote me on the Zoom chat, I'm 59, I've never been married. I still want to build a household. Why is Hashem not offering me this gift? And it's very tough and it's very difficult. And we have to make space for that suffering. It's so painful. And especially for a woman who wants to give, it's so painful. And as difficult as it is, even in this situation, Hashem is expecting her to do something. And those are things maybe we cannot tell someone. It's very difficult to tell that to someone like that on a chat or on a Zoom link. But I thought about it so many times. And I thought, there is one halacha regarding tefillah for the women. When you're married and when you're a mom, you don't need to pray the 3 prayers of the day. Why? Because you're busy with another avodah, right? You're busy with the kids. If you do 1 amidah a day, you're good, right? So when you don't have that, when you don't have this opportunity to have a family, we could think also maybe Hashem needs your prayers so much that this is your tafkid. Maybe that is her tafkid. I have no idea. I'm not in the cheshbonot of Hashem. But even in the challenges, there is a reason. Somehow, and for other women, it's a challenge to have kids. And they want to find space to daven. Because they wish they could daven. I have a very good friend of mine. She tells me sometimes, oh my God, I never have time to pray the way I liked to pray when I was single, when I was in seminary. It was so amazing. I would spend days, like hours, really like pouring out my heart on Hashem, and I loved it. And I would, on Shabbat, I would finish the whole Sefer of Tehillim, and it was amazing. I felt so elevated. And now I changed diapers. Definitely, like, it's not that easy to see the light in a dirty diaper. Let's face it. But at the same time, there is light in that diaper, just like there is light in that finishing the Sefer of Tehillim. And this light, this neshama needed to go through the dirty diapers, maybe 20 years of dirty diapers, before being able to pray again as a grandma or anything like that, or as an older mother, like she used to when she was a single. And maybe the other cannot. Just like take the example of the Lubavitcher Rebbe and his wife. They didn't have kids. Nachon? And at the same time, I think all the Jews today who are far away and who live very far from any Jewish community are their kids. Because they open Bete Chabad everywhere. You go everywhere, you have a Bet Chabad. I have a very good friend of mine, Rosine Rosanel. She travels around the world. That's her passion with her husband. They have this project. And every time I say, how are you going to do for Shabbat? You're in... I don't even know the name of the place where she is. And she's like, oh, but there's a Bet Chabad. I'm like, really? Yeah, there's a Bet Chabad over there. Had the Rebbetzin and the Rebbe been busy with their own children, would have they been able to devote themselves so much to this huge project? I don't know. One day I was speaking with one of my friends who is the daughter of a shlucha, and they are only 2 kids. And she said that, when we were young, we saw all the other religious families, they had so many kids, and we were just 2. It was so uncommon for our level of observance, and we were like the kids of the rabbi and the rebbetzin, so we were just 2. Yes, but at the same time, when you look at their community today, they gave so much that their community are their siblings, So in each and every nisayon, there is a way to reveal the light. Hashem made it that through my nisayon, you would not have revealed your own light. And through your nisayon, I would not have revealed my light. Only through the nisayon that Hashem gave me, the nisyonot that Hashem gave me, was I able to find the resources that He placed beforehand, because He always puts the refuah before the nata. How do you come on? Okay, so it means that He always places the remedy before the illness, right? So because of that, He already gave you everything you need. You just need now to pick and choose when there's something coming. And why are those things coming? In order for us to see what tools we have. Imagine there is like a new TV show, okay? Maybe they exist, by the way, I don't know. You go on an island with a luggage. In this luggage, there are so many shtuyots, so many tools and this and that, and you're like, there's a cord, there's a machete, there is like a knife, there is a lamp, there is a bottle of oil, there is like a candle, there is tomatoes, there are so many things. And at first you open that luggage and you're like, what is this luggage for? What am I going to do with all that? I don't know what I'm going to do with all that. Stupid, do I really need that? And then you arrive on an island. And on this island, you have to, like it's a deserted island, and you have to create your home, you have to create to maybe like to start building like a tent and this and that. And now you realize, wow, I'm going to use this cord for this, and I'm going to use that paper for that, and I'm going to use that fabric to make the roof, and this and that. And now you realize, because there is this challenge, that thank God you had all those tools, right? So it's the same in life. How can you know that you have savlanut if you were never put in a situation where you had to wait? How do you know that you're brave without being put in danger? How do you know that you are able to fight anxiety if you have never had trauma? All those things that make us who we are were actually things that Hashem created for us to reveal ourselves, to reveal our light. So it's very important to look at what we have in our toolbox and appreciate, okay, this I know that I have. And not only that, but Hashem is teaching us, once you know how it works, shed light on your kids, on their own light that they don't see because they're too busy fighting against whatever they need to fight against. Their emotional difficulties, their learning difficulties sometimes, their fear of not being, of not belonging, their fear of not being loved, their fear of being unseen, right? Whatever they're fighting on, they don't see the beauty they have. But if we have worked on our light and we bring our light closer enough to them, for us to see the beauty inside and to see the light inside of them, then we help them elevate their own light. And then we support them with their light until this light goes to YU, to Yeshiva University. Now I have my 18 years old who's leaving to Yeshiva University. No. So yeah, until that light can flicker on its own. Okay. I'm kidding, but I'm not. Okay, so
That's amazing.
no, but when you think about it, that's our role as parents, right? Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
I would think.
Yeah, it's so cute. Baruch Hashem. And anyways, that's our role, to help them see their own light, elevate their light, until they can become that light for another person. And that's how we've been those torch bearers for I always look for confirmation on my challenging English words. For many generations, since Sarah Imenu and Abraham Avinu, we've been carrying a light from generation to generation, right? And now we know that yes, just like the Greeks wanted to turn off our light, and they didn't want to kill us physically, they wanted to eradicate the light of Torah because they knew that this is the only thing that nurtures your light. If you want that light, your light, to be elevated and to maintain itself, Torah is the fuel. Torah is the fuel. Torah is the expression of Hashem, of the will of Hashem. If we want to connect to our source, to Hashem, and if we want to know Him, right, we have to know His will. If I want to know Sharon, I'm going to say, hey Sharon, what's your name? Where were you born? Da 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 da. I want to know about you and what do you want in life and this and that, right? If I want to know Hashem, what do? I look and I learn and I look for Torah, because Torah is the expression of His will. And so as I learn Torah, I realize, wow, I get to know Him. I'm becoming closer to Him. And this is how I elevate my flame. Because that flame is just a piece of Him in me. So if I reconnect my flame to His source, it's like recharging your battery. And then you help the other one recharge his. But it has to elevate from him. Now there's another thing that I want to share with you, and it's not too late. You good?
My
Okay.
kids are sleeping. Take your time.
Okay. So, it is important to be a light within Am Israel. It is so important to really realize that we were granted the privilege of being Am Israel. We were granted also this responsibility. The world will, yes, fall in darkness if we don't take our responsibility to light ourselves. And you know what? Somehow, when a Jew doesn't light his candle, his own inner light, it's a loss, not only for Am Israel, but even for humanity, for the world. Because another reason why it's so important to light our own neshama and to be connected to our mission and to elevate our light is that we have a second mission, is to be an Or LaGoyim, is to be a light for the nation. I'm going to tell you a story, 2 stories. One of my rabbanim from France, his name is Elie Lemel, Rav Elie Lemel. And if you have the chance to speak French, you have to listen to his classes. He's amazing. So he's, yeah, so what happened to him, on Erev Shavuot, not Erev Shavuot, Erev Shabbat Shavuot, Friday 2 weeks and a half ago, he was in Deauville, which is like the Hamptons, like it's very chic and very quiet and very nice and very Jewish. And he got attacked by 3 Polish guys, and they hit him very badly inside of the tummy. That was once. A week after, day to day. Friday last week, right before Shabbat, Rabbi Elie Lemel usually receives people who have issues like of anything, but a lot on Shalom Bayit, in his office. But because there was already someone in his office at that time, and it was a private encounter, and he didn't want to bother that other person, so he said, you know what, let's go downstairs. His offices are in a very nice district of Paris that is called, it's actually a suburban of Paris, it's Neuilly-sur-Seine, which is very chic also, and they go downstairs to a cafe, like any French Parisian cafe. They take a drink and they discuss on the issue, on the problem, right? And at that time, he said that he didn't realize what was happening, but he felt like something very heavy fell on his head. He fainted, and he overheard some screams like, we got him! And so he tried to stand up, and he realized that actually someone had hit him again. Here is a Palestinian from Germany saw him and throw a chair at his head. And so you know what happened after that? Because that's just a detail, I'm sorry to say. I'm very close to Rabbi Lemel. And so I texted him to know how he was feeling. And he told me right away, Esther, I'm okay, Baruch Hashem. We have to pray for people in Israel, da, da, da. And then he was called by TV, by radio, Goyish TV and Goyish radio, French TV and French radios, to speak about his attack, because twice in the same week, come on, like it's a big thing, you know? And also because there's so much anti-Semitism right now in France that they wanted, you know, like to speak a little bit about that. But he was not called by the equal of Fox News. He was invited in a place like CNN, okay, very left wing, and the journalist calls him and he says, okay, so no, he actually invites him Friday, so before Shabbat. Shabbat comes in very late in Paris at that time, at 10 something. He calls him, he invites him to the show, and he says, okay, so you were victim of a, you need to leave. No te preocupes. No, por favor. Tranquila, fue un placer encontrarte.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, nice seeing you. And so he's called, no te preocupes. He's sitting down and the journalist is telling him, so you were a victim of 2 anti-Semitic attacks here, once in Deauville, once in Paris and Neuilly. And so he said, it's true that I have been attacked. And so the guy was trying to get him on fire, And what did he get? He said, but you have to understand, the Torah teaches us. The Torah teaches us that when something like that happens to a Jew, the first thing we have to do is an introspection. You have to introspect. Why is Hashem, why is God, he says, putting me in this situation? I have to work on myself. I have to know what I have to do. And he speaks beautifully. He's also a philosopher. He's an amazing educator. And so he spoke so beautifully that CNN guy at the end was speechless. And he said, wow. And when the rabbi left the table, he couldn't even think. He said, but can you realize that this rabbi has been hit, and instead of fighting back with violence, with angriness, he just brings light. And that's when it hit me. And I said, do we realize that we have to be an Or LaGoyim? But how are we going to be an Or LaGoyim? Do you think that CNN, even Fox News, would invite Rabbi Eli Lemel to speak about God, to speak about Torah on a French TV? Never. What needed to happen for him to do that? He needed to go through an Isayon. This happened so that happened. Non-Jewish people in France are brainwashed with so many content that Jews are terrible, that Jews are this, that Jews are that Israeli are this, that Israel are that. And what does it make? It foments, it fuels the hatred, right? So what did Hashem do? Wait, you want to see what a Jew is? I'm going to bring you a Jew. This is the light. You want to see the light? And he didn't stay only on that channel. He went on so many channels. Why? Because thanks to that, unfortunately, thanks to that accident, that thank God he doesn't have any bad injury. He's still injured, but he was given a space to spread the light with the nations, and to get a chance for millions of French people, non-Jewish French people, to realize, what? When I see that France, the PSG, I don't know if you follow soccer, but the PSG, which is the Paris Saint-Germain, a soccer team, won recently not the World Cup, but European Cup, okay? The French people, to celebrate that, destroyed the entire city. They destroyed, they set everything on fire. Had they lost, it would have been the same, by the way. So anyways, it was planned like that. This, they destroy, and we bring light. Being an Or LaGoyim. A second example. This Shabbat, so every Shabbat in our community, between Pesach and Rosh Hashanah, the Bet Chabad organizes a Pirkei Avot, Pirkei Avot that we spoke about that with Sarah this week. And this Pirkei Avot, we were very lucky to host a friend of mine who's named Nechama Tawil. She's a shlucha of the Rebbe. She's a Rebbetzin in Brussels, in Belgium. So, anybody knows Belgium here? Yeah. Okay, so Belgium is a country border from France, okay? And Belgium is probably, I might be a little bit exaggerating, but not that much, 70-80% Muslim today.
Oh my gosh.
You're not exaggerating.
Yeah.
I know my cousin.
Yeah. And not even to speak about that, but before that, the country was hosting a lot of Jews, but they pride themselves to be secular Jews. It's Jews with no Torah. The only Jewish school in Brussels is called L'École Laïque, so the secular Jewish school. This is the name of the school. Secular Jewish school. So she was sent to Brussels as a shlichut, as a mission, and she was sent not to work with the Belgian population per se. She was sent to work at the European Parliament.
Wow.
So imagine, her job is to bring the light of Torah to the European government. There are very, very few Jews in the European Parliament, but there's a lot of non-Jews who need to know what Jewish people are. So they bought and they built a Bet Chabad in front of the European Union Parliament, and they fight to light up the menorah every year, and it's a fight. It's a physical fight, and it's taking up to death threats. It's not a fight like we know here, oh, I'm going to fight with Surfside in order to, no. Because over there, the Muslim brothers are very, very powerful. And they threaten them physically several times. So she is an amazing lady that you have no idea how she's a light to herself and a powerhouse, really, she's amazing. But anyway, she was giving this class last week on Pirkei Avot. And she was telling about her shlichut, and she was saying, you know, I don't think I ever saw a darkest place as Brussels today. Since October 7th, it's even worse. And many Jews are leaving because you can't stay there. She says, like, in the Jewish community, the secular Jewish community of Brussels, you can count on the hands almost the number of marriages that are not mixed marriage. So there's almost no more Jews anyways, but they're still there fighting. And she said, like, since there's not a lot of Jewish people in the parliament, and she has a lot of time to work with other things, she decided to go to the public school and to propose to devote some time to get the kids of public school to get to know Judaism. And there's actually a program where every kid of the public school need to learn about another religion. So they said, yeah, why not? You know what, let's do that. So it's been like a few years that she does that, a few times a year. They go in the synagogue and she teaches them, look, this is a synagogue, these are the Sifrei Torah, this is that, this is Judaism. So they get to know it, right? And she said, like, a month ago, she had a group. So she said, like, every time there's a group coming, so it's girls like around 15 years old and girls and boys 15 years old. She said, like, 80% of the girls have the hijab. Yeah. So they enter. Once she got very physically harassed, so she was a little scared to resume, but she decided that she's a fighter, she's a soldier of light, and she will do it over. And so she hosted again. And this time, this group was not supposed to come, but they called her the same day, it was a Friday, And they said, listen, like we usually go with this school, we usually go to the Reform Shul of Brussels, but the rabbi women over there cannot be there today. So can we come to your shul? And she said, okay. Now it's Friday. I don't think it was right before Shavuot or something like that. And so she said, okay, but I'll do that. She goes to shul. She opens the door to that group of kids, mostly Muslim and the girls with hijab. And she starts explaining what Judaism is. And the kids are, wow, really? Wow. And even the teacher, who is also a Muslim, says, listen, Nechama, but I've been taking groups for years to the synagogue and I never heard something that powerful. And she said, what do you mean? It's the first time I see you. No, I was taking them to the Reform Shul. I never heard something that made that type of sense.
Yeah.
And then she understood that the Muslim people are very spiritual, and they can understand, they have the tools to understand the Jewish spirituality, but they didn't find it over there. They found it here. And so they were so amazed by what they were seeing that they were so curious of what Judaism is, and suddenly so they were asking a lot of questions, and suddenly one girl with a hijab says, excuse me, Nechama, can you tell me why on Shabbat you don't separate toilet paper, you don't cut toilet paper, and you don't separate this and that, and you cannot select good from that? And she was like, how do you know that? Not one Jew here in Brussels knows about those laws. And she says, well, I'm on Instagram and I follow a girl called Sima Layani. So Sima Layani is actually a French girl who lives in New York. Do you know her? No?
Yeah, she's not.
What?
We're not over.
So she's an influencer. She has, I think, around 200,000 people following her. And I know her because she's the sister-in-law of one of my very good friends, Deborah Saada. And I don't follow her on Instagram, but I know that what she does is that basically she shows her life and she explains what she does. She gives recipes, she does this, she does that, and she explains. But I thought she was doing kiruv. There are also Chabad. Her father is a shaliach. Her name was Cohen, and she I thought it was kiruv, like that she was bringing together like Jewish people. But I realized, and Nechama told us, no, you have to understand. What she does is that there are so many non-Jews that follow her, and also Rabbi Manis Friedman, and that I think you know.
Yeah.
Right? So many non-Jews follow him. Why? Because he's a light for the nation. We have the power to elevate anything in this world. There are sparks of divinity anywhere in this world. In our phones also, even in TikTok, even in Instagram, even in X. We just have to turn it towards the right destination, right? I don't promote having Instagram or X or whatever, but if people have it, at least give them a content that is a kosher content, something that will bring light into their world rather than scroll down and numb their brain, So those people who are influencers and who decided to use this media in order to elevate the light in this world, somehow they touch their public. Because there are some people who could choose to hate, but they choose to know why they would hate. Why should I listen to that comment on dit le discours? Speech. Why should I listen to the speech of those Muslim brothers? Who are those Jews that they want me to hate? Oh, wait, let me see. Rabbi Manis Friedman. This is someone to hate? Rabbi Eli Lemel. This is someone to hate? Si Malayani or whoever. This is someone to hate?
Oh my God.
This is a light. This is a light. And I can understand through that light that even as a non-Jew, I have my role to play in this world. I have, those non-Jews have 7 laws of Noach. We have 613. A lot of women, I started teaching women who were in process of conversion. That's how I entered to teach. And I remember I told them, like, are you sure you want to do that? Today, in order to serve Hashem, just have to get to know Hashem, and you have 7 laws. That's it. You're going to enter, you want to enter a covenant, you're going to have to sign a ketubah with 613 laws, my dear. You sure you want to do that? So much responsibility. Really. Those who were born don't have a choice. They have to elevate their light. But those who are not born in this covenant, why do you want to get in? Serve Hashem as a Ben Noach, as a Bat Noach. Why not? You know? There are, by the way, a lot of movements of people who are part of Ben Noach. The lady who works at my house and her daughter, they've been working since COVID in my house, and they come like they have like a cleaning company, and they go to many different houses. They are originally Catholics, but they, like many French people, they are very secular. They don't really practice their religion. But they were very intrigued when they enter our house, because they go and help many Jewish houses, but they never saw what they saw in our house. They said there are 2 sinks, there are two sets of everything, it's separated, you prepare Shabbat, it smells good, you don't buy things like you. They always wanted to know more about it. And at one point she told me, you know, I have a rabbi. And I'm like, what? And I started thinking, oh my God, like they entered like a cult or something, I don't know. And no, she actually looked up on Instagram also for what is Torah, what is Judaism. Every Friday they tell me, like, they call me to say Shabbat Shalom Esther, you know, like very cute, but okay. And they discovered that there are laws of Noah. They asked me, the girl especially, she told me, like, can you teach me those laws? So I said, yeah, sure. So we sat and we learned those laws. And I thought it was so beautiful that she never told me, I want to convert to your spirituality, to your religion, because I love it. She told me, how beautiful is it that I can be a non-Jew and I can serve God. It's amazing. You don't need to convert me for me to exist and to have a purpose in this world. How many religions have killed millions and millions of people because they wanted to impose their flame, but they burnt the flame of others? A Jew is a light that elevates the light from within in another person. In a Jewish person,